So my name is Eugeniu Prodan. Most people just call me Eugene because it's easier this way. I'm originally from a small country in Eastern Europe called Moldova. And I've been living in the United States for the last 10 years or so. I have a YouTube channel called Lingo Junkie where I share some of the language learning process or language learning advice or anything about the languages I speak. And now I'm actually back in school. I'm studying international affairs in graduate school. So just a few fun facts about me.
When was it when you learned English for the very first time?
I would have to say probably we started learning in second grade back in Moldova. They try to teach us English pretty early on, English or some other foreign language. In my school, it was English, but it was, I think, only once a week. The classes were only once a week. And when you're 8 years old, I mean, you don't really learn that much, I don't think, with that amount of study time. So, but still, it was that early on. It was from second grade up until, you graduate from high school, up until 12th grade. So I think around 7th grade, they bump it up to 2 classes of English per week in school, and goes that way until the end, until you graduate.
Okay, great. I envy you because in my case, I was about 17 years old when I had my first English class. So
oh yeah, big difference.
And okay, and then you moved to the USA, from Moldova to the USA, and then you still needed to learn English, or did you already have a superb level of English when you moved?
Superb. I don't think, I don't know if I'll ever get to a superb level, but well, maybe I should take a step back a little bit and let me know if it's too far of a step back, if I'm getting too in the weeds. But basically, I was really motivated from a very early age to study in an English-speaking country or somewhere in the European Union, study after high school, to get a college degree from one of those institutions in Europe or the US. It was just a big dream for me. And with that, I knew that I would have to know a foreign language.
Yeah.
There's just no question about it. And since I was already studying English, and since I was really passionate about learning about popular culture from the US, I know it was a big deal. It was a big dream for me, but like I really shot for the moon, and I thought, wow, it would be so cool to study in the United States of America. And I started taking some additional classes, I think in 6th grade. Yeah, 6th grade. So like at a private language institution, which I'm sure people have in every country. So I just became, I think, a little bit more conversational thanks to those private lessons. And then the thing that really pushed my fluency to another level was the fact that I got a scholarship to go to the United States for 1 year to live with an American host family, to study in an American high school, to essentially be part of this, American life, and experience it from the inside. And I was 15 when I went there, almost 16. So it was pretty early on. And I really owe a lot of my fluency, a lot of everything that has happened after that in my life to that year.
Yeah,
so,
I see.
Yeah.
And can you remember how was it back then at the very beginning when you began this 1 year, how did you call it, this program?
Exchange program.
Exchange program. Could other people make out that you are not from the USA?
Oh yeah, for sure. They could hear my accent very, very well. I think the first thing that they would ask me is, where are you from? Because I ended up being placed in a city called Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you're a fan of the series Breaking Bad,
oh yeah,
you probably know the place. Yeah. It's famous for many other great things too. They have an annual balloon fiesta, like a hot air balloon fiesta, where people come from all over the world and fly those hot air balloons. That's another fun fact for you. But yeah, people were giving me looks. People were asking me questions. Where are you from? Why do you talk like that? Some a little more diplomatically than others. But yeah, it was, I was really standing out. And the good thing, in a way, if you really care about your accent or, things like that, it can evolve. You can work on it and it can evolve. And I look at some of my videos from those years. This was, I think, 2009, 2010. And I hear it. I hear the difference. So, yeah.
But was it that you had a bad feeling about it? Was it an unpleasant feeling that others would make it out in a way? Did you want to sound like a native? So what was this, like a goal that you wanted to achieve?
I think so. I think I was a teenager at the time. I was very insecure and I wanted to kind of blend in a way. I don't know if I would do the same if I was to go on an exchange program now. I feel like accents are beautiful. I think there's no shame whatsoever in having an accent. I mean, especially if you speak the language grammatically correct, there's no problem. But even if you make mistakes, I mean, it's okay. That's totally fine too. You're at least trying. But, for me, someone who had this plan of, this bigger plan of studying in this country, of going to school, of taking classes with other fellow native speakers, for me, I think if you put all of that together, that was why I really wanted to sound like a native.
Yeah, you wanted to be part of the community, right?
Yeah.
You were integrated because I assume you loved the culture and all the stuff that is in Albuquerque and so on. Yeah. And I also saw a video where you became actually a citizen of the USA. Is that right?
Yes. It was 2018. Like I said, so many things have happened after that year, and I owe so much to that one year. Fast forward, I want to say 10 years later, now I'm a US citizen living here in the United States. I, can confidently say I'm fluent in English. I understand so much more of the cultural intricacies that there are in this country. I get a lot more jokes. I understand a lot more of those. And, if you really think about it, it's not a big deal. Like, if you don't get a joke, that doesn't mean you're not fluent or you're not good enough of a speaker, because those jokes, for example, they're sometimes just like a reference to a movie or some line from I don't even know. But like, to a lot of people, that can be a big deal, that you're at work with someone and you don't get a joke and all of a sudden the world is crashing. But no, I just want to say that it's not like that. Being fluent and being proficient in a language, I mean, is completely, in my point of view, something else,
Okay, yeah, I get you absolutely. And now we went a little bit too fast. So after 1 year, you went back to Moldova, right? So what happened then? Was it difficult to to go back to your own culture and stuff, right?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
change of the language, because I suppose you didn't spoke that much Moldovan, or
Yeah.
how is it called? Moldovan?
Romanian. We speak
Romanian.
Romanian there. Yeah, and we speak Russian, and there's a big, I guess, it's like a melting pot of languages in my brain and in other people's brains. But yeah, I went back, and that was kind of that was the law. To go back for 2 years, you weren't allowed to come back to the United States. It was like a special visa that they gave me. Even if I wanted to stay there, I couldn't. I had to come back. And thankfully, I still had 2 years of high school. And it just worked out perfectly that I could finish up my high school. And during those 2 years, I could work on my college applications for the United States, and get into a college in the US. But back to your question, it was difficult. It was really difficult because on the one hand, there was the cultural side of things, because even a small thing like in the US, I got so used to giving people hugs, for example, just like you see a person, you're hugging them. But in Moldova, and I think in a lot of European countries, you give a quick kiss on both cheeks. And I totally, completely forgot that that's how we do it. And so I was going for a hug, and the person, the girl was going for the kiss, and so it was awkward. So lots of different things like that have happened when I was coming back. And then people, they sometimes would not believe me that I'm having a hard time remembering a word in Romanian, because my school, I went to a Romanian school. So they thought that, he's just pretending like he's this Americanized kid. And I'm like, no, seriously, I'm struggling to remember this one word. Can you help me? And yeah, there was a lot of that sort of linguistic gymnastics happening in my brain, because in my home, I speak Russian. And so, that's like juggling 3 languages at the same time. It's hard, but it's fun because, you have so many stories to tell at the end.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember a story from my part, because my father is Argentinian. And I remember once when I was about 13 years old, we went about 3 or 4 weeks to Argentina. And then we only spoke in Spanish, right? And I felt so comfortable. I was used to speak in Spanish in such a short time, right? And I only wanted to speak in Spanish. And then when we came back, it was so strange to get back to my dialect. But it is weird because it was only 3 or 4 weeks, right? So I can absolutely feel you when you are saying that you were 1 year away and you came back. Of course, a lot of things change. It's this identity thing also.
Yeah.
And my question is, what do you feel now? Are you more a person from USA, or are you more a Moldovan person, or what is your identity?
Oh, that's a great question. I struggle answering that question myself pretty much every single day. Now that I'm officially a US citizen, with being an American, it's easy because you can just say, well, I'm American. And that can mean that maybe your roots are from Europe, right? Maybe you are from Argentina originally, or your parents are originally from Argentina and you moved with them and you don't speak a word of Spanish and you've never set foot in Argentina, but you have that heritage with you, so to speak, but you've lived all your life, for example, in the US. So, but you can still call yourself American. There's Native Americans who, are also citizens of the US. So, I mean, in a way, the easy way out is to just say, well, now I'm American. And, that kind of puts the end on it. But it's actually far more complex than that, because, how are you the same and that's air quotes, with somebody who is, let's say, an American who's lived here for generations, right? Versus like me, a first generation American, where you actually feel kind of an in-betweenness type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I lived, I guess, the majority of my life in Moldova, in Europe. So a lot of the cultural stuff, a lot of my experience is a European experience, is Eastern European experience. Also, not every, you know, country in Europe, I guess, you know, is the same too. So it's difficult for me to explain that, to be honest. So I just say I'm American, but I always add, but I'm originally from Moldova in Eastern Europe. And usually that is a great conversation starter, and people ask other follow-up questions, and you know, the conversation kind of starts from there.
And I remember one video in which you were cooking oatmeal.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny because you told us how you could pick up the American accent, and maybe you could tell us what your method was. I had to laugh quite a bit.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you for watching all these videos, Daniels. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. I recorded a video. I was cooking oatmeal like I do in the morning. That's what I eat pretty much every single day. And I just remembered that back in college, whenever I would have an interview, you know, a job interview or an internship interview or something important where I had to speak in the morning, if it was at like 9 a.m., I could really hear my accent coming through a lot. You know, it was just, in the video, I say that I could hear the Boris coming through, you know, like Boris being a typical, you know, Russian name like Ivan. So what I used to do about an hour or so before the interview, I would call up my bank just to kind of check, you know, check the balance, or like talk to the person, the representative, like something about my statement, just to kind of get the conversation going, just to kind of hear the language and be able to actually speak it with another person. It's weird. It's kind of a unorthodox way to do it, because it's probably so much easier to like go out in a hallway and to start a conversation with someone. Sure, some people can just like watch a YouTube video or listen to something and get that, I guess, English speech in their head. But for me, it was really important to have it kind of go both ways. I say something to you, you say something back to me, you know? So for me, calling my bank was a very safe way to do it. Sorry if you called your bank for like a real question, and because of me, you know, you were on the line for too long. But yeah, it helped me with my interviews.
Yeah, and of course, to me, it makes perfect sense, because it's all about get exposure, right? And
yeah,
and also to speak up. And I think it is a pretty hard task to understand someone on the telephone. I mean, even in German, I don't like that much, because it's just, sometimes it's difficult. The communication is far more difficult than one-to-one communication. And so I think this is really great.
I would just also add to the phone conversation with your bank, also the other benefit of doing it by phone and calling your bank, or calling maybe if there's a line, you know, other people won't be like as affected, you know, because yeah, the fact that the interviews for me, in my case, were mostly also by phone, you know, that was a great, again, practice, because sometimes you just don't really understand what the person is saying over the phone. So for me, it was kind of a twofold benefit, because, you know, for one, hear the English speech, get that input, so to speak. And number two is like doing it by phone was great, because the interview later on would happen also by phone. And I also have one more quick thing to add about the exchange program that I forgot to mention. Do you mind if I just say it here?
Of course. Yeah? That would be cool.
Nice. I was just going to add that, so my exchange program was for 1 year. I think one way that I'm sort of always recommending people to embark on these sort of exchange programs, if they can, is to immerse themselves as fully as they can in the language, in the culture, in everything. And maybe I did it a little too crazy because I was just so passionate about, learning so much. But I was only speaking with my family, I think, once a month by Skype for half an hour. And that was it. That was the extent of my language practice of Romanian or Russian. Everything else, for the most part, 95% of time was in English. And in New Mexico, there aren't that many Romanian or Russian speakers. So in school or, my neighbors, they were all speaking English too. Or Spanish. A lot of Spanish speakers in New Mexico. Thankfully, in this environment, that sort of it pushed me.
Yeah, you were kind of forced to learn.
Yeah, exactly. Forced to learn and to pick up those little phrases and expressions. And it was great. It was really beneficial to me. So anybody who is also doing these kinds of programs, I just always wish them this, besides all the other good things. I wish them to, stay as fully immersed as possible. If you're on YouTube, or if you're listening to music, don't listen. It's hard to say this because sometimes you get very nostalgic and you want to listen to a song in your own language, Okay, cool. But try to do more of the target
absolutely.
language.
I also try to watch series, for example, always in English. And movies as well, and books as well.
yeah, that's great. And I would also add to this, you would think that after you're done with the 1 year program or any exchange program, at the end of it, at least in my head, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be done with it and I'm just going to be fluent. Just there's this particular sort of time frame type of thing where, okay, done with the program, check mark, fluent, or near native, check mark. And it just doesn't happen that way.
So this was the interview, part number 1 with Eugene. Thank you so much, Eugene. You are really amazing. I could learn a lot from you, and I am sure that the listeners will as well. So the reason why I split it up into 2 parts is I wanted to make a transcript, and besides that I also wanted to make a vocabulary list, which I'm gonna publish at the same time, and it takes me a lot of time to revise it. By the way, for the listeners, in any case you missed something out or you couldn't understand it, I will also put all the links in my show notes so that you can find Eugene and his YouTube channel easily. Just a quick note before I finish up here, I am also on Instagram, so you can look me up by typing my Fluent Podcast on Instagram. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks again, Eugene, aka Lingo Junkie. See you soon. Bye. Have a good one.
There was a time, there was a day when I used to have a job. What a time, what a day to have a job at all. Low unemployment, economy's booming, keeping attrition so low. Try to be working, but people are talking. Foodies are coming, beware. Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Another week is passing by. What the heck have you accomplished? Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Get the heck away from me with your corny ass review. And now it's time to go to lunch. Everybody's undecided where to eat and where to go. So I bring my lunch with me. Any plans for the weekend? Break up with your girlfriend? Sorry to hear that, my friend. I still try to be working, but people are talking. Foodies are coming. Beware. Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Another week is passing by. What the heck have you accomplished? Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Get the heck away from me with your corny ass reviews. 4 p.m. mingle time. No more coffee in the break room. Disappointed, off you go to your cubicle again. Any plans for the weekend? Break up with your boyfriend. Sorry to hear that, my friend. I try to be working, but people are talking. Foodies are coming. Beware. Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Another week is passing by. What the heck have you accomplished? Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Another week is passing by. What the heck are you doing with your life?